Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Payroll 2021. It's a new year, and we're going to talk about North Dakota tax withholding rates. I've never been to North Dakota. It's one of three states that I've never been to. So somebody out there in Bismarck or a neighboring area, you have to get in touch with me and buy one of these payroll files because I need a reason to go to North Dakota. I know in the wintertime there probably aren't too many reasons, but I'm definitely going to go at some point. So let's talk about North Dakota withholding. They kind of mimic the federal W4, and that kind of put them in a difficult position over the last couple of years as the federal W4 has changed drastically. So I'm going to talk about how this works and the rates that go into withholding and how you figure this out. So looking back at the Excel file, when you choose North Dakota, one great thing about North Dakota is you don't have to worry about any of the normal state withholdings. They're using the federal W4 as their guide to figure out what your withholding is. Now, this payroll application is built to handle both old W4s and new W4s. And that is handled in this question here, which is a 2020 or 2021 current W4, has that been used or is it one of the old ones? And if you haven't seen one of my videos on the W4 in the past, which you probably haven't, the W4 was changed drastically in 2020, and that led to a whole different way of answering a bunch of different questions. And it used to be just a number of allowances, and now it's different questions potentially. So when we go back here, it says, well, did the person fill out a current W4 or were they using an old W4? If the answer is no, meaning they didn't use a current W4, they used an old one, you have to choose the number of allowances over here. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Well, if they did fill out a new W4, then you have to fill out this stuff that's over here to the right, which is what is their filing status? Do they have any other income? Do they have any other deductions? Did they check this box? There's a box. There's a question about checking a box. I mean, come on, what's going on? That's what they asked. And then what's the amount of the dependents? It's 2,000 per dependent. So you used to write a number of dependents on the old W4. Here you write what the amount is, $2,000 times that number of dependents. So it's a different way of doing things. And when you set up an accounting file to try to handle this for your business, where you're going to have old W4s and new W4s, my advice is to get everybody to fill out a new W4 so we can stop using the old W4. But if you have an old W4, which I'm going to show you the example right now, you do need to put their number of exemptions right there. Okay? So let's say this person has an old W4. Well, what do you do then? Well, here's how you figure out their wages. You annualize their wages, so you take their gross pay, hours times rate, for the week. This is a weekly payer. You multiply that by the number of pay periods in the year. Weekly payer has 52 weeks in a year, so it's 52. You're multiplying the gross pay by to get an annualized wage. Then you're going to subtract out the federal allowance amount, which is $4,300, from the number of allowances that they put on their W4. That's what that number is right here from their old W4 to get a taxable gross amount. This taxable gross amount, there's going to be two different formulas, one if you're single, one if you're married. This is what they are. It's a nested if formula. It comes from this formula right here. Right? If they're single, you do this. If their income's less than this, if they're less than 6,200, they don't owe anything. If it's less than 46,000, do this and add 1.1%, yada, yada, yada. I won't go through that formula in detail, but this is how you write it here. So that's the one for single, and that's the one for married. You can see married withholding is slightly lower than single here. Well, that's if your employee has an old W4. Well, what if your employee has a new W4? And the answer is it's kind of iffy. I read through the instructions and I'm not entirely sold on the way they're doing it because it seems like they're omitting some of the things that you would need to figure out taxable income for the federal amount, or the way at least I was checking. I came up with slightly different numbers when I ran this because we have an area in this file for the federal withholding, which is over here. The federal withholding is quite complicated with the new W4. So I figured out that we should probably be multiplying the amount of wages related to the 2020 W4, which is right here, times those same tables that we have in the file. So what's coming out of this result is my numbers are slightly lower than the other website scenario where I check these formulas. And I'm not really sure who's right. I'm not going to sit around and say that this is totally spelled out because it's very complicated with the new 2020 W4. So if the person did fill out a 2020 W4, you don't care about allowances, but you care about this other part over here. And if they have exemption amounts and things like that, those things need to be counted. So it's definitely kind of iffy. I would certainly like to talk to anyone in North Dakota who may have this, who may need this file, and we can certainly go over more detail. But as for right now, these are the rates. They're certainly very close. You can see between 26 and or, 26 and $20, like $6 off a paycheck here. I'm not really sure who's right, and it's one of those things where, as the federal government issues guidance, things change throughout the year too as well. So we shall see, but that is how you do it. At least certainly with an old W4, and I would imagine a lot of people in North Dakota are using an old W4 here. So that is this calculating North Dakota income tax. It's not that big of a deal. The rates are pretty reasonable. If you look at the rates here, let's go and check out in here the actual North Dakota rates. You can see that they range from, they really only go up to 2.9%. So that's why there's such a small marginal difference anyway, even if the taxable wage base is slightly off. Because it's 1.1% basically through 2.9%, and the first 6,200 or whatever the first allowance is for your filing status is not taxable at all. So you're really not going to pay a lot of tax in North Dakota. I know South Dakota has no tax. North Dakota, not too much. I swear, I want a reason to go there. So somebody in there must be running a business. If you see this video, let me know. I might even give it to you for free just so I can come visit. So that's how you handle North Dakota tax. It is a little complicated because they use the federal W4 as a basis, and that gets complicated as you are migrating employees from the old W4 to the new W4. I will be continuing to do these files and these videos throughout the next day or so here as I get every state done and do the full 50 state versions. We are blowing through them, but that is North Dakota. Not too bad. Doesn't sound like a bad place to live. I like the way they explain things. They seem like good people. So if you're from North Dakota, God bless you. And we are continuing to work on Payroll 2021 in Excel. It should be easy, and we are steadily making it so here. So expect a video from Nebraska, about Nebraska, coming for me in the next, I don't know, hour or two. All right, we're out. Good luck.